revolt. No. No, they don't want that at all. They want the opposite. Trust me, if you haven't figured out that your body is weak, feeble, fragile, needy, and even pathetic, if it lives long enough, I'm referring to your body, so if you live long enough, you will understand. That's just a fact. It's called OA, old age. You'll get decrepit too. And remember, our lives are very fleeting. None of us know when our last breath will be taken. Well, God only knows. So, I mean, there's really no time to get your act together. Okay, and it's easy. Like Jesus said, my yoke is easy, my load is light. It's not hard to be his friend. That's it, man. I mean, once you're in his hands, once you've been born again in that sense, as an allegory, a metaphor, you've given yourself to God. There's no going back. You would never want to. That's it. You see no profit. It's to no avail to join the world system, the beast system anymore, when you're safely ensconced in his hands, which are big enough for all of us, to protect us. You put a hedge of protection around you and your family and say, no, you know what, I'm hell-bent on going to a better world, not hell-bent on going to hell. And so I know what's going to get me to hell. And hypocrisy is at the top of that list. That's a surefire way to go to hell. So all the things you want for yourself, all the things you want for your family, you better damn well be willing and wanting that everybody else had those very same things. That's how you take a test to see if you're a hypocrite or not. Okay, just ask yourself those things. Am I? Okay, and if you're not, then you're evil. You're not thinking with the same mind, the heart and mind of God. And, what are you going to get? You're confused. You're in Babylon. You're ignorant. You're stupid. You're in darkness. You're wandering through the wilderness, as it's written. Okay, and I'm telling you, you got to come out. Come out of Babylon, my people. Anyone that hears me calling in the wilderness, do not harden your heart. Okay, do not turn your ear away and come to me. All you are burdened and heavy laden. With this difficulty of the world that just gets harder and harder and just more and more trying and challenging, hyper competitive, the social Darwinism, survival of the strongest as we define strength, right? Oh, it just means who's the most cutthroat out there, okay? Who's willing to step on the most toes, is that it? So those are the ones that we consider the strong ones. Those are the ones that are going to rule over the weak ones that, value their conscience and integrity and honor and reputation, all that stupid goody two-shoes nonsense. It doesn't pay your bills. Okay, you're the idiots out there that value those things. If another civil war breaks out in America, contrary to popular belief, it will not be leftists against the right wing or socialists against capitalists. Rather, it will be establishmentarians against anti-establishmentarians. That's what I mean. That would be a revolt. Okay, as close as I could compare to a civil war would just be it. And the vast majority of law enforcement, they're going to be on the right side. They're going to be on the side of the people. They're not going to go out there and confiscate guns. They're good Americans, so the military is not going to be with the establishmentarian politicians and bureaucrats. Don't buy it. They're going to be on the side of we the people in America. So it will be a good, successful revolt, nonviolent, peaceful revolt. Leather, what do they call it? Velvet glove type revolt. That's it. But we're going to have to parent these people and remind them who's boss. It's you, it's me, it's we the people. The top social engineers cleverly, though diabolically, have created mass aversion, even hatred toward anything related to God. And then we wonder why civilization is breaking down. The name of God has been slandered, has been framed, and deliberately slandered and besmirched by evildoers. How? Much like throwing mud in an otherwise clear pond, an easy accomplishment. By directing the public's attention through educational channels, they focus only on all the false so-called men of God, whom are so-called only in name, as evidenced by evil-doing, sundry heinous acts against humanity at large, and just plain rotten fruits. That's it. So let's say, look at all these religious people have brought you. They're all a bunch of murderers and killers. And so they besmirch the name of God and get anybody that consider themselves intellectual and educated to be against God and to be for the secular world, basically for the beast system, the establishment, the satanic establishment. That's it. So you're stupid if you're not for it. You're an idiot. If you believe in God, and you love God, value God, trust God, you're an idiot, according to the alumni of so many of these higher education. And I actually like smart people. I got a nephew that I went to a celebration for one of his achievements, and I was around all these educated alumni. I like these people. For the most part, I think they seem to be very honest people. And most smart people are. I like smart people. I like a lot of these professors, these intellects. But, you know, there's a few bad apples. If the black hats are running the show and the agenda and the curriculum and all that, you understand the problem we got. It's the same thing in the government. It's the same thing in the private sector. So that's how I feel. If the establishmentarian forces don't yield to the anti-establishment forces, we're going to have a big problem. In figuring out that I do not wish, seek, or desire to be any man's enemy, nor to be a threat to him in any way, brings me great solace of heart. Yeah, I like that. You know, it refers back to the scripture saying that when a man's ways please the Lord, he causes even his enemies to live at peace with him. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm a doormat to be walked over, okay? I'm not a pushover. I'm not a yes man or sycophant. And if somebody, you know, if I have a disagreement with somebody, believe me, I'm going to spit it out. I'm going to get it off my chest. So let's just be very clear about that. Our current fear-based neo-feudal trajectory is in a runaway train on metaphorical steroids. Yeah, is like a metaphorical train. Like a runaway train on metaphorical steroids, right? Our current fear-based neo-feudal trajectory. Yeah, they keep raising that cost of living tax and don't question it. Just we all understand inflation. Of course, this went up, that went up, and so we got to raise your taxes or we got to raise your cost of living. And you know, don't worry about the fact that you keep getting poorer. And now you're going to need to try to get welfare and food stamps and Section 8 and whatever other help you can get from charities. But don't question it. Don't, you know, it's just progress, and don't question it. Just go with the flow and just go die under a bridge, whatever. Just accept it. Just tolerate it till, you know, we say. And that's forever. It's going to get worse and worse, harder. We don't have any answers. It's just we want people dead. We need to call the pop. There's too many people, but we're going to keep bringing in more refugees and immigrants, legal or whatever, to put an artificial demand on stuff so we have a good head count so we can get our budgets and stuff intact. You understand? And yeah, it puts the workers in their place. Don't ever try to start a union again. I mean, you know, we could get labor to do what you do for half as much. So. And, you know, yeah, so don't worry. They're on welfare too, and they're not telling you about that too, and getting the money paid under the table. And you know, the contractors can't compete unless they got illegal workers. And don't talk about that though. We're not gonna, you know, let's not go there. Let's not discuss that in the mainstream media. The so-called root of all our social miseries are multi-layered. Much like the roots of a tree, there are layers of roots, surface roots, comprising the root system. For example, desperate poverty is the root cause of the vast majority of our social ills. Desperation induces many pernicious, very bad elements like crime, dubious warfare, a welfare state, national debt, and a bad spirit hangs over the land. The people suffer. The deeper roots of all of the social ills lies with the money masters of misery, all those top controllers of the issuance of currency. So it's like the surface roots of a tree, and you also got the tap roots. So even if we attack one set of roots, we got to get to the other set. We got to get the entire tree uprooted, transplanted, and it's got to go to hell where it belongs. That's the evil root of the tree of establishment tree, the root of evil. Willful ignorance coupled with intellectual dishonesty is disturbing and an all too common attribute. In understanding this term, to fight the good fight, we must ask, to what means, to what avail? It is then that we realize this so-called good fight is ultimately one of seeking true, lasting happiness. When we see that absolute universal freedom is at the top of that list, then we know that fighting the good fight translates to fighting for the absolute freedom of all of humanity. If anyone enjoys prosperity for themselves and their family, they must approve of prosperity for others and their families, or they are hypocrites and on the highway to hell. Contrary to popular belief, it's good to have contrition, compunction, and even shame for humanity's manifold failings, to deeply actualize a precept that it is a terrible thing to fall into the hands of the living God, an angry God. You don't want God angry with you. The closer we get to irreconcilable divisions in our land, the closer we are to civil war and the farther away from a united civil revolt against the crony capitalistic establishment. That's right, I'm a big proponent of revolt, but not civil war. Human beings have been lured and tricked into small-minded thinking. For example, everyone really readily admits they need money. Everyone